Welcome to episode 25 of Published. Today I'll speak with Greenleaf Book Group Marketing Associate Olivia McCoy about best practices for authors to optimize their book marketing strategies on Amazon.
Welcome to Published, a podcast by Greenleaf Book Group, where we'll discuss the ins and outs of the publishing industry, from writing a book and finding the right publisher to gearing up for a book launch. And now, here's your host, Greenleaf Book Group CEO, Tanya Hall.
Welcome back to Published. In the last episode, we talked about the most prominent publishing options for authors in today's market and how authors can choose a publishing path that suits their needs. So today we're going to move ahead and focus on book promotion, specifically the best ways for authors to boost their visibility on Amazon. So whether you're a first-time author or you've been around the publishing world for years, it's no secret that Amazon has certainly grown to play a significant role in selling ebooks, print books, audiobooks, any type of book, certainly. Its digital platform gives authors access to a very broad audience and also allows them to target the book's more specific core audience. So it can definitely be a powerful tool. That said, though, Amazon offers a lot of potential visibility. It's easy for a book to get lost in the crowd if it's not promoted properly. So that is why it's critical for authors to have a solid promotion strategy in place. To that end, we've brought in one of our talented marketers, Olivia McCoy, to talk about how authors can make the best of their Amazon presence. So let's go to the interview. Welcome, Olivia.
Hi, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about what you do at Greenleaf.
So I am a marketing associate here at Greenleaf. So actually, I work directly with authors to develop their marketing strategy and campaign, promote their titles through the supply chain and consumer advertising, boost discoverability and reviews, and get books into readers' hands, essentially. I completed the University of Denver's Publishing Institute and have a background in marketing and PR, which helps me.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying you know a bit about what you're talking about here?
I'd like to think so.
I think so. So authors, of course, of all stripes, whether they're self-publishing or traditional publishing, everybody recognizes Amazon is the 100-pound gorilla in our business, and it's critically important that they market well on Amazon, but more than that, that they're doing things to ensure that their book can be found. So what are those big things that the author needs to think about when they're listing a book on Amazon?
That's a really good question. And there's actually 3 big steps to promoting your book online, and that's discoverability, awareness, and action. First, discoverability, people need to be able to find their book. Next, awareness, they need to build conversation and buzz around it. And then last but not least, there's action. Now that readers know about the book and can find it, authors need to encourage them to take action and actually buy it.
Okay, so we'll unpack that a little bit. When you talk about discoverability, what can an author do to make their book more discoverable?
Well, aside from building an author central page, which we encourage all our authors to do, the top 2 things to promote discoverability are actually features you may not think about, and that's categories and keywords.
Okay, so Author Central, let's get back to the basics here and tell me what Author Central is.
Author Central is a landing page on Amazon. It's basically just taking up more real estate for you, the author, to display who you are. When you click on an author's name below the book title on an Amazon page, you'll be brought to that author's Author Central profile. It includes the author photo, bio, other books, and updates regarding their latest news that can come in the form of blog posts or videos. And not only does it give readers more information about you as an author, it provides authors with book sales data from Amazon. Authors can access Author Central and easily set up their own account at www.amazon.com/authorcentral. And a great example of that is actually Weldon Long's, if you wanted to look there. He's got blog posts and videos.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Olivia, but if I recall, through Author Central, you can access BookScan data, correct? And yeah, she's nodding for those of you listening. For those of you who don't know what that is, BookScan is an incredibly powerful tool, and having access to that costs publishers thousands of dollars, let's say. So for you to be able to see that, that's the best way for you to get a little snapshot on the sell-through data, meaning who's buying your books on the retail side, which is hard to get from Amazon depending on the type of account you're in. And I believe they even break it down by region for you, so you can see a heat map of where your books are selling. And that's important because it can help you to gauge how effective your promotional efforts are. So if you're doing something in one corner of the country and all of a sudden you see your book sales pop there, then you should do more of that.
Absolutely. We definitely encourage authors to look at that heat map to help encourage their talks and see where their books are performing the best in the U.S.
Yeah, super helpful. I mean, this frustratingly is a business where we lack transparency on many parts of the supply chain. So definitely encourage everybody to get that Author Central account set up, if for no other reason than to have that information to inform your other decisions. It's really important. Okay, so you also mentioned categories and keywords. Let's talk about that. It's very much like Amazon is to some extent a search engine. So obviously that helps things to surface a bit, but can you go into that a bit for us?
Of course. Amazon categories are similar to bookstore genres, and you can actually think of them as the shelving system within a brick and mortar bookstore, but exclusive to Amazon, just like BISAC codes are exclusively used for distribution purposes. You can see a book's categories under product description when you scroll down the book page, and they add discoverability by organizing all the books on Amazon so that readers are better able to find what they're looking for. When you're selecting your categories for your book, you really want to make sure that the categories are relevant but targeted so that you, as an author, have the greatest influence on your Amazon ranking. And then keywords are just as important, although they go into the metadata of the book page rather than on the book page, so they're not visible. But they help Amazon filter through books and pull up relevant titles when keywords are searched by readers. It's important to add them even if they're not visible because they help your book show up in searches as a way to reinforce key themes that you're trying to present to your readers. It is important to note, though, that just because a keyword is in your metadata does not mean that your book will show up on the first page of search results. You can also use those keywords in your descriptive copy, website copy, and blog posts to make sure that your content aligns and updates website algorithms to recognize your book as a reliable search result for that keyword. Both your categories and keywords can be updated and should if they're not performing well, but we recommend that you only update them once a quarter so that Amazon's algorithm has time to adjust and perform, and you can actually see accurate results.
Yeah, it's kind of like A/B testing something. You mentioned showing up on the first page of search results. That's something that comes up from authors, as you know all too well.
Yes.
All the time. They get super frustrated, and I've experienced this too. You type in the title of your book, and you're digging through 3 pages of things that are kind of sort of close to what you typed in, but not even an exact match. And it's very, very frustrating for authors. I know some of the reasons why that happens, but do you want to share some of the other factors that influence how something actually finally ends up on that first page?
There's a lot of things that influence where a book shows up in search results, and that includes sales, pre-order data, reviews, and general interaction with the page. The more interaction a book page sees, the higher it's going to show up, and the better that Amazon is going to advertise your book to readers.
That sales history thing, it's a bit of a catch-22 because it's like, how do I get the sales if you won't surface my book? So I totally understand why authors get frustrated about that, and that's why here at Greenleaf we put a huge emphasis on trying to optimize Amazon so that we're just turning all the dials we can in an effort to help those books pop up earlier in a search.
And that's where awareness comes in too, making that book noticeable.
Absolutely. In terms of awareness in general, what can an author do if they're trying to, as you said, just make it more visible?
Reader reviews are so important. I cannot stress how important reader reviews are. They serve as social proof, and they help to trigger Amazon's recommendation algorithm and influence your category rankings. Authors should have a plan in place to seed books for review and then get comfortable asking for Amazon reviews. When someone tells you that they really enjoyed your book, it's literally as simple as saying, "That means so much to me. I really appreciate it. Do you mind sharing a review on Amazon or Goodreads or Barnes & Nobles or any of those retailer sites, really?" Here is a tip, though. Make sure that you only ask for honest feedback and keep the focus on the book. Amazon will actually flag and remove reviews where a personal relationship is apparent, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree. Consumer reviews are, I think, in many ways taking the place of the published reviews that we used to find in, the Times or whatever, that people would lean on for some sort of direction of what books they should buy. Now, I think we all do it. You look at an Amazon page, you immediately look at how, not just the overall average rating, but how many there are. And I personally am an advocate for, sometimes authors freak out when they get a review that's not 5 stars, whether it's 1 star or 2 or 3 or 4. If it's not 5, there's a problem. So don't worry about that, because in my opinion, that actually adds credibility to the overall appearance of the book page. If you see some of these book pages that are 100 5-star reviews, especially if they all happened on the same couple of days, then you know that that's just a big orchestrated campaign. Whereas you get, it's just going to happen. It's life. You're going to have one person who didn't like the cover, didn't read the book, but decided to post a nasty review anyway.
Absolutely, and I tell our authors that too. Sometimes getting a 1-star review or even just a lukewarm review can be really, really good for social proof, for your social proof.
Exactly. Yeah, good. Okay, so conversion, of course, is a key theme in any marketing. So once we get our reader to the page and they're interested enough that they're scanning through all of the copy and they've looked at the reviews, how are we going to convert them into a buyer?
There's actually a couple of things that they can look into doing on Amazon, and the first is advertising. We recommend advertising to almost every author because it really does make that much of a difference, especially on Amazon. Amazon actually allows us to advertise to consumers who are most likely to buy our book, meaning those that have a browsing or purchase history in your genres or categories that I mentioned earlier. Then there's a limited time ebook price promotion that authors can put into place a few months after the initial publication week to bring attention back to the page and encourage a lot of sales very quickly. And the last thing may seem obvious, but add your Amazon link to your website and social media. Some authors don't think to do that, but people can't buy your book if they don't know where to go. So provide that link for them.
Mm-hmm. So the Amazon ads, let's talk a little bit more about those. I mean, I suppose it's very much like Facebook advertising, where you can target people who are, as you said, showing an interest in a certain genre or have a history of buying books in a certain genre. Are those available to all authors?
Yes. Amazon ads are something Amazon recently rolled out that has allowed us to advertise to readers directly on the retailer site. And not only does it sell directly to readers, but Amazon will tell us through their link tracking how many books are sold by each ad. So we're able to create ads that target specific keywords that we talked about earlier, the categories that we also mentioned earlier, and bestsellers in those categories. The ads will also allow us to see how they're performing throughout the campaign, not just in sales, but in clicks and impressions, so that we can edit and optimize them throughout the campaign and share those results with the author.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add, just from my own knowledge of the various marketing programs we've done with Amazon, I think this is the only one where we actually get hard data back to make some sort of assessment on whether it did anything.
That is absolutely true. And that's why we recommend Amazon ads over Facebook or LinkedIn or other additional advertising.
Yeah. Okay, and then you mentioned ebook price promotions. Let's explain what that is for our listeners who are scratching their heads at that phrase.
When I'm talking about a price promotion, I'm really just mean dropping the price of the ebook version of the title for a limited time and then supporting that with some kind of advertising. You can promote that price drop on your social media, your website, your blog, ebook bargain sites like BookBub, which I highly recommend doing if you can. BookBub is an amazing marketing tool, and even through paid advertising on Amazon. It encourages impulse purchases and seeds a large number of books for potential reviews, bringing the book back into focus several months after the initial launch.
Yeah, so that's a nice tool to have in the back pocket, especially for sometimes we have older titles where maybe the author is interested in giving it a new little push, a little breath of fresh air. So how long would we run one of these price promotions? Obviously, you don't want to make it 99 cents forever.
No, not forever. We usually try to limit it to 2 to 4 weeks at a time. It lights a fire under people to really take advantage of the limited time promotion. But of course, this varies on other promotions you have lined up that are going to support the book and the type of title, of course.
Mm-hmm. And so those are then best done in conjunction with something to promote the fact that you're doing the price promotion, like some advertising.
Yes, Amazon advertising, for example.
Ding, 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 yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so any other advice you have for authors on Amazon in terms of leveraging all of the tools they can to sell books there?
Of course, I mean, all the things I talked about, take advantage of everything Author Central has to offer. Keep your book page fresh with reviews, seeding, and asking for them. And then have a plan to drive consistent traffic to your book page, whether that's Amazon ads or a price promotion or just promoting on your social media and to your network. I will say, and I tell all my authors this, the most successful books have the most active and involved authors. But we do have more information on how to market your book on our Learning Center on Greenleaf's website. And actually, a lot of this information can be found in a specific blog post, How to Sell Your Book Online, Insider's Edition.
I think some of it can also be found in my book, Ideas, Influence, and Income.
Oh, of course. I didn't think that needed saying.
It always needs saying.
Always needs saying. You're right.
All right, Olivia, thank you so much for joining us. Really helpful information.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being on.
Well, that's it for our episode today. We hope you learned a lot and feel better equipped to set your book up for success on Amazon. For notes and resources from today's show, go to greenleafbookgroup.com/episode 25. You can also find advice for writing, publishing, and promoting your book in my book, Ideas, Influence, and Income, which you can learn more about at ideasinfluenceandincome.com. If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. It means a lot to have your feedback and will certainly help us make sure we're answering your most burning publishing questions. We'll be back next month with another new episode.
Thanks for listening to Published. To learn more, please visit greenleafbookgroup.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes.